Weak economic data pressuring the S&P 500 and the Dow Tuesday, one day after Congress passed a nearly $900 billion coronavirus aid package. Well, let's get the assessment from our friend and economist, Max Wolff of Multivariate. Max, welcome back and good afternoon. Will that aid package boost economic momentum, or is it too little too late?
It's always great to be here. Thanks for having me. It's good to be among friends and happy holidays. Look, I think it's a day late and a couple of dollars short, and I think that's a bad combo. So it's hard to say whether it's more shockingly late since this conversation began in the almost impossible to recall July timeframe, which, for most of us was quite a while ago, especially in a year like this one. And it was also supposed to be quite a bit bigger. So folks waited quite a long time here, 4 months plus, in order to get less. And it's a little bit like getting half your Christmas list on the 28th, right? So, I think, hopefully something beats nothing, which I think is true. But I think this is a sort of stopgap measure where the money is already all spent. And that's just to sort of keep the mouth above the water. This isn't a lifeline. You know what I mean? It's one of those nice flotation devices to put around yourself in the ice cold water while you're still not in the boat.
Well, Max, we got some economic data today. Consumer confidence unexpectedly falling in December, and existing home sales snapping its 5-month streak of gains in November. What is this telling you about the nature of the economic recovery?
Well, an odd thing has happened, right? So we've now priced in all of the best case scenarios in the market and have just ignored it when they didn't come to pass, right? So the market is still sort of more or less trading this excitement that we got through Corona while 3,000 people a day are dying and 200,000 plus new cases are coming. And that's without adequate testing, right? So I think I'm going to say the same thing I've said all year. There is no economic recovery that's meaningful and enduring, that's not sort of hype, hopes, and fumes, that occurs until we get through coronavirus, right? One. Two, the United States remains a standout world laggard in its response to coronavirus. So I do think there's some hope that that will change. I think that the vaccine is obviously quite hopeful. I think the vaccines, I should say, are hopeful. And as they're rolling out, that is great. But they won't roll out enough to stop the immediate issue, which is January, February, March. A little bit like last year, but last year was March, April, May. And we're looking at lots of issues, including 150,000 more people dying possibly here, and lots of shutdowns and stoppages. And I think we need to get beyond the debate about whether the policy stoppages are the problem. The virus is the problem, right? And we need to control that at least, if not end it, before we have visibility.
Well, Max, you've been cautious throughout the months that we've been talking over the last half year or so. Based on what you just described, where the economy is, what the fundamentals show, and on the other hand, the vaccine, are stocks currently overpriced, or at least some of the indexes overpriced? Are we possibly in a bubble?
Yeah, sort of. There are some fundamental drivers. They're just ones that make people uncomfortable. So I think what people are talking about as the equity market drivers, complete BS, right? So I don't think that is not very valuable or interesting, other than it's good to keep the hype drum going, I guess, to keep the hype up, right? But the truth is the stock market's going up because you can borrow money and speculate for free. And if you turn out to be not great at the speculating, the federal government of the United States sees you as the top aid priority. They will come and rescue you. And so long as that's true, you'd have to be incompetent not to borrow all this money and speculate with it. Because if you win, you keep your winnings. And if you lose, somebody gives you a couple more chips to play, right?
All right, just a week to go before, I guess, we call it a year. Where do you see stocks going next year?
Yeah, so I don't see this sort of conveyor belt, this upward lift stopping. I think there might be some relief in a lot of quarters too, if we have the likely smooth transition of power, since that's been so debated and talked about, uncharacteristically here in the US, but nonetheless. So I think there'll be a bit of a relief rally. I think the idea of a different set of hands on the wheels will be exciting to people, even nonpartisan.
All right. Okay, thanks a lot. So possibly maybe a relief rally after the transition. Thank you, Max.
Thank you.
Our thanks to Max Wolff of Multivariate. I'm Fred Katayama in New York. This is Reuters.